New Mexico Immigrant Law Center, we witness the resilience of immigrant families every single day. We believe in a New Mexico that prioritizes inclusion and opportunity for all. Together, we can create and support policies that strengthen our communities and ensure that every New Mexican lives with dignity. Thank you.
I was 8 when we decided that we would come to the U.S. I came with 2 of my siblings and my mother. I was very little, so I remember some things and some things I don't. I remember walking a lot, and I remember hiding in the bushes and being afraid that immigration would catch us. We had to cross this river, but since I was so tiny, I wouldn't have been able to make it across. One of the guys had to carry me on his shoulders. You know, I didn't know how to swim, so there was a likely chance that I could drown. And so he had to carry me on his shoulders while my mother was taking care of my sibling. I think about how at that age, you know, being 8 years old and crossing into a whole different country made my resilience grow so much. I now really see the importance of community lawyering and how powerful that can be.
I was born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and I came to the U.S. when I was 11 years old. My family was fleeing violence, and my family and I overstayed our visa, which made us undocumented. When I started looking at all the college opportunities and understanding that being undocumented, I wasn't eligible to apply for many scholarships, was really hard for me. I realized that I was pretty much not going to be able to get a job or the job that I wanted. One of the lawyers from New Mexico Immigrant Law Center saw or found out what I was going through at home. Not only did that lawyer help me out in my situation, but also became someone who I relied on and somebody who I could trust. When I first heard of SIJS, it was just huge for me. I never thought I would be able to get a green card or have a status overall. I work in the South Valley as a special education teacher. It really gives me the opportunity to give back to my community.
I was born in Denver, Colorado. We then moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I started going to school here as well, but we actually had to go to Mexico after a family emergency, and we lived in Mexico as well for some time. My parents were both undocumented at the time, and so I was the only U.S. citizen, and so we had to cross into the United States. I had to come in with them being undocumented.
A lot of people are fleeing very real death in their countries. You would hope that people are able to go back to their home countries and survive somehow, but we've also heard that sometimes those families did pass away. They were murdered.
Immigration detention facilities are by law not supposed to be a punishment. ICE's own website even states that detention is non-punitive. Some states have found ways to mitigate the harm. Illinois, for instance, barred private companies from contracting with local communities to detain immigrants. It also prohibited cities and counties from contracting with ICE to house or detain immigrants at local jails, which is great. New Mexico is considering a similar proposal right now.
So we're on our way to Milan, New Mexico, which is where the Cibola detention facility is. The conditions in this facility are terrible. Recently, there was a lawsuit against wage theft. There was also a lawsuit about conditions in the prison. You know, this current administration, their focus is on keeping immigrants of color out of this country. My brother was detained last year by ICE, and he's currently in a detention center in Texas. Coming out here and working with so many men and women who share my story about wanting to come to the U.S. for a better life, it just hits so close to home. The reward for coming out here is much more than my fear.
These private facilities have not been meeting standards, basic standards. So even if we were to look at, hypothetically, just trying to look at a bill that would try to do some kind of oversight, we know that oversight doesn't work for these particular detention centers. We've seen that that is not effective. We need to act now by completely eliminating the ability to contract, because there are people who are actually dying.
CoreCivic has repeatedly denied allegations of mistreatment at both the Cibola and Torrance County facilities, but New Mexico's congressional leaders are not buying it. Senator Martin Heinrich addressed the issues during a congressional hearing earlier this year, where Heinrich doubled down last week with this letter saying, "I am growing exceedingly frustrated that my concerns have not been addressed." He goes on to explain new reports of overflowing sewage and retaliation against migrants at the Torrance County facility. CoreCivic denied reports of a sewage spill and many other issues detailed in Heinrich's letter.
Today, the Torrance County Commission unanimously voted to extend the Intergovernmental Service Agreement with ICE to detain immigrants at the Torrance County Detention Facility. This is a short-term extension until October 31st of this year, so advocates will be working really hard to make sure that the commissioners understand the human rights abuses and the harm going on at TCDF and their complicity in those violations.
I started volunteering at NMILC 3 years ago, and I started here at NMILC because I wanted to give back to the community that I came from and that my family really came from. Not everybody has the opportunity to get the help that we offer here at NMILC, and to be able to volunteer and just to be able to give back what my family never got.
I work at the New Mexico Immigrant Law Center because I believe that immigrant rights are human rights and that all of our liberation is interconnected.
So I have the privilege of not only being a migrant, but now I also have the education to do something to support other migrants.
So our organization works with individuals who can't afford legal services. So we provide free legal services to immigrants across the state. Being client-centered is super important because our clients are constantly in duress. The decisions that we make as lawyers aren't just legal decisions, they're real-world decisions for our clients.
It took all of our organizations, all of our community. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone's hard work. Thank you, Edmund, for being the inspiration and the drive behind our movement. Thank you all for everyone's work contributed to this victory, and that is what a coalition is about. I am honored. On to the Senate, we're going to pass this law.
NMILC is something really special. We attract these incredibly smart, capable, motivated people. And the more capable immigrant advocates we have, the bigger difference we can make in the immigration system. The immigration system is broken. Few people can navigate it on their own. Lawyers are really expensive. If I can help make the system more humane and more understandable and make that little difference in my little corner of the world, I'm so happy to be able to do so.
We'd also encourage you to reach out to NMILC. You can donate, you can volunteer with us. We'd love to hear from you.